Alright, so garlic knots. You kind of want to keep your dough somewhat thick, maybe a little massage. You want to keep it even the whole time and make it square-ish. And I like to do 1 ounce per knot, roughly. So this is a 17 ounce dough. I'll cut it into 16 because cutting into 17 is just weird. Best way to do that, I think, is to cut in half. Cut in half of each half. Cut those quarters in half again. And then go through the middle. And you got 16 pretty even cuts. To roll a knot, I go with my thumb and my ring finger. I go around those 2 fingers and the third, and I just try to stick it right there so I can grab it. And then I grab it and let go. And that's the fastest way to do it. You can start to roll knots really fast like that. Also, cutting takes time too, to cut the knots. So I'll put these aside and I'll show you the idea, because I'm doing 3 trays right now, real fast. 4 large does 1 tray. It's 63 to a tray, I'll show you that, but this is the idea. I would just put all of them on the table, but I want to illustrate the idea. So, since I did it with 1 dough, I can do it with 2. So I could go all the way across the table like that, and then it's just rolling the knots. So once again, thumb and ring finger around those 2 fingers, 3 fingers honestly, and kind of just get it so it's somewhat between your first 2 fingers so you can grab it. Just let go. You don't want long tails on the outside, like you don't want that. You want it to be tucked in like that. Proofs better. If you do happen to do that by accident, shove the bottom under it and make it back into a ball. Great way to do this if you're in a pizzeria is race your partner or whoever you're training. Say, hey, beat me. And if you suck, eventually the trainee will beat you. So don't ever let that happen. Keep them on edge. Close. Don't ever let them beat you. They don't need to be perfect because they're going to proof into each other. Don't obsess over making the most uniform knots. I think it's a waste of time. And just make sure you don't have any real tails on it. So it's somewhat of like a roll, you know. Alright, so for these, I'm going to use a half sheet pan. Alright, so if you can, don't over obsess about it, but it's better to have the bigger ones on the outside. If you see I'm starting on my corners, I don't need to count that I'm doing 7 by 9, but I don't need to count that if I do it this way. So as soon as I have 4 corners and the sides, I know that this way I'm going to get 3 on each, and it's about, remember, 1 ounce per knot. So this can work very well if you're using something around the 16 to 18 ounce dough. for your large pizzas. Now you can use any dough you need. So let's say you have large and small, and you got a bunch of overproof smalls that you don't feel comfortable making pizzas with. Make knots with them. If they're 8 ounces, cut them into 8. And do your math that you'll need 8 of them to make a tray. And you'll have one left over, because I'm making 64 knots, but I only need to put 63 on a tray. And unless I'm making 63 trays of knots, which I won't be anytime soon, then you're not going to have an extra tray of knots off your extra single knot. And that's 1/16 of one dough. So really don't stress about it. It's actually a 1/4 of a 16th of a dough. 1/3 of a 16th of a dough. But yeah, see, I'm not even counting across, but I had everything lined up. Because in here there'd be 2 in between, and over here there'll be 3 between the corner and the middle piece. So as you see, I have one left over. I just ditch it. I don't see a reason in saving just a few knots. I spray it. I wrap it. And usually I want to cook this off in about 1 hour. So I'll usually throw it. We have a little buffer rack on top of our oven, which is good, but not quite good enough when it comes to proofing. So I usually grab a pizza box, put it on top of the buffer rack, and throw this up there to proof it. That's what I usually do with bread as well. Bread I usually give about 2 hours. But yeah, you can see I got the garlic knots up there. There's a buffer rack and a box in between. Alright.